with all the new restrictions announced today by the Prime Minister, just the latest in the government's bid to slow the spread of this disease, it's clear we're living in absolutely unprecedented times, at least for all of us who are too young to remember the war and the Great Depression. In terms of scale, this is worse than the 2008 global financial crisis, when there was never any need to close borders or to shut down the movement of people in our community. And that's because the prospect of our health system being overwhelmed, as Italy's has, and of people dying needlessly because there aren't enough ventilator beds for all who might need them isn't alarmism, it's real. And sadly, while age looks like it protects some, for others it makes this truly a life or death disease, which is why such strong actions must be taken, and taken quickly, and why governments would much rather be accused of doing too much too soon rather than too little too late. I want you to hear this again. Listen carefully to what Dr. Michael Ryan says. He's the head of the World Health Organization about the risks of delay.
Be fast, have no regrets. You must be the first mover. The virus will always get you if you don't move quickly. And you need to be prepared. And I say this, one of the great things in emergency response, and anyone who's involved in emergency response will know this, if you need to be right before you move, you will never win. Perfection is the enemy of the good when it comes to emergency management.
That's why our government is acting, and that's why we need to listen. Still, you never make a bad situation better by panicking, which, while taking the advice of experts, keep calm and carry on, is still our best way forward. Today, I went to my local Coles to assess the community mood. The shelves are still far emptier than usual, but the community spirit, I have to say, missing in recent weeks, seemed to be back on display. And while coronavirus is as easy to catch as the common cold and at least 10 times as deadly as normal flu, it's really only the elderly who are in desperate danger, which is why more restrictions on visiting people in nursing homes are such an important part of the Prime Minister's announcements today. Now, as I said last night, it's good that individuals and organisations are taking their own steps without waiting for government to tell them how to be good citizens at a time like this. Snowy Hydro Power Company, for instance, well, today they announced it would take no action against customers who temporarily can't pay their power bills because their work's dried up. Snowy, you deserve real credit here. AGL2 announced it will be paying all of its bills within 14 days rather than the usual 30 to try and help the cash flow of its small business suppliers. Also last night we talked about the need for a form of life support, an economic ventilator I called it, I think, for business temporarily without income. And something like that has just been announced by the British government, guaranteed lines of credit for businesses that otherwise couldn't meet their bills or pay their staff. Today our Prime Minister gave a clear signal he's working on a package like this too, not so much stimulatory, as I said last night. It's got to be aimed at keeping business afloat, and that would appear from comments today to be where he's headed. But as I also said last night too, this will pass. It might be 3 months, it could be the PM 6 months indeed, it could even be longer, but when it does, it's vital that business and workers be in a position to resume normal life as quickly as possible. However, there are a few things this coronavirus crisis should change in Australia, must change, in fact. And most important here of all is that out of this, we must relearn what it is as a nation to be self-reliant. We must get manufacturing back into our domestic economy in a big way. We need to stop obsessing about the things that are out of our control and focus on what we can control, like much more water we should be storing, the source and price of our electricity and what makes up our energy mix. In the end, the only people we can rely on, Australia, is ourselves. When the world is chasing testing kits, trying to purchase ventilators to save their sick, when we've run out of face masks, for goodness sake, because we don't make them here anymore, or hand sanitizer, and everyone else is closing their borders to protect their people, wake up. Our near 30 years of economic good times, a bit of a mirage really, because it's all about China's boom and our ever-increasing population growth. Our 30 years of economic good times, Australia, I tell you, it's made us soft. From here on in, protecting ourselves, coronavirus Mark II or a GFC rerun has got to be at the forefront of government policy. We've really got to demand it from our politicians. Right now, we all have to take the advice of experts and keep our head. But once we're through this, there'll be lessons for all of us. There always are from any crisis. Whether we learn them, well, that's another matter.